Hello friends, Tom Downey here for the Los Angeles Rams preseason profile. We'll start off with their key additions, and there were quite a few big ones for LA. On defense, Marcus Peters comes over, so does Aqib, Talib, and Ndamukong. On offense, well, they went on and they added Brandin Cooks, and oh, by the way, they tagged LaMarcus Joyner to make sure that they kept him as well. They didn't have a first-round pick. That was part of the Brandin Cooks trade. No second-round pick either. In fact, only one top 100 pick, but I actually kind of liked what the Rams did in the draft. They had several key areas of need: offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and namely defensive end. And they spent multiple picks at those spots, doubled or even triple dipped at those areas to help get some depth and maybe get a couple of nice late-round picks in there as well. But additions-wise, the Rams were the splashiest team out there this offseason. In terms of losses, well, there were quite a few. Alec Ogletree, he got traded to the Giants. Robert Quinn gets dealt to the Dolphins, and Sammy Watkins and cornerback Trumaine both leave in free agency. Now, yes, you lost Quinn and Ogletree. Those are some notable losses. Watkins for Cooks, maybe that's even an upgrade for the Rams. And then a cornerback, yeah, you lose Trumaine, but I'd take Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib instead. And oh, by the way, Watkins and Johnson got so much money, they'll net at least one high compensatory pick in next year's draft for the Rams. Now, their overall grade for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an A. The Rams, super flashy, fit very well into that LA stereotype. I love what the Rams did. A little bit aggressive and maybe some risk and boom-bust potential here, but I like what the Rams did. Frankly, outside of maybe Minnesota, did any team have a better offseason than the Rams did this year? Here now to the preseason and the Rams schedule. They play at Baltimore in Week 1, home against Oakland in Week 2. The Texans is the big one in Week 3, that dress rehearsal game, and then they host the Saints to end the preseason in the game that is very much a meaningless matchup. We'll zoom in, though, on that Texans matchup in Week 3. First up, is Aaron Donald back by this point? Continues to hold out as he waits for a new deal. We'll talk more about that later on in this video. And on offense, has the NFL figured out the Rams yet? Now, I don't think you're going to see it quite fully in Week 3, but it will be worth monitoring against what could be a very high-powered and talented Texans defense. Some training camp storylines. We'll start on defense. Who steps up at linebacker? Look, the Rams are so good with Sue and Donald and Brock, assuming Donald is back, and the secondary, they can get by with lesser talent at linebacker, but it is a bit of a red flag, and namely, these are not exactly household names. Ndamukong, Barron, Littleton, Longacre. There's some talent there, some undeveloped potential, some under-the-radar players, some sleepers there, but it's not exactly a strong class there at outside and inside linebacker in a, well, we'll call it a 3-4, even though it's almost a 4-3 under Wade Phillips. But it is a bit of a question mark there. The Rams will be fine at this position, but you wouldn't mind one or two guys beyond Barron stepping up and proving themselves as a quality NFL starter. As for the offense, well, will it regress? It was so good last year, such a surprise in year one under Sean McVay. They went from one of the worst under Jeff Fisher to, I think, the best offense in the NFL under McVay. It starts, of course, with the quarterback. Jared Goff took a big leap forward last year. 28 TDs, 7 interceptions, just under 4,000 yards. And you know what? The Rams didn't even try in Week 17, and they still led the NFL in points per game last year. Now, the weapons, some fun ones. Brandin Cooks, Robert Woods. I love me some Cooper Kupp. Josh Reynolds can play. Farrell Cooper can play. And oh, by the way, Todd Gurley was one of the best offensive players in the entire NFL last year, if not the best player. The offense should be great again, but the expectations are higher now. Will the Rams regress even just a little bit? And if so, how much would that impact them in their overall win-loss record? I think they'll be fine, but it is worth monitoring. And then, of course, the big one, Aaron Donald. Now, I thought when the Rams signed Cooks and Gurley, those were precursors to an Aaron Donald move. Yet here we are, and it hasn't happened yet. That's a big concern, at least for me. He did not report to camp again, and will continue to hold out until he gets a new deal. The Rams have the money to pay Donald and to pay Cooks and Gurley and all those players. And Donald, I think, if you disregard position value, i.e. quarterbacks, Donald's the best player in the NFL. Pay the man. He is worth at least $20 million. Maybe he wants more. I'll give it to him. The Rams are in win-now mode right now, so pay Aaron Donald, get him in, give him 5 years, $100 million, 6 years, $120, whatever it takes. Get Aaron Donald in. He's absolutely worth it, and I think the two sides aren't that far apart from a deal as of yet. Taking out to the schedule for this year, and NFC, always tough. Week 1, ooh, good Monday night matchup against the Oakland Raiders. Then it's against Arizona, but then the gauntlet kind of continues. Versus the Chargers, versus the Vikings. We'll see how good Seattle actually is. I'm not too worried about Denver, but at the Niners will be a tough one as well on Sunday Night Football. Home against Green Bay. Pretty tough set of games to open the year in those first 8 for the Rams. Assuming if you get by the Raiders and the Cardinals and maybe the Chargers there, I think you'll beat Seattle, Denver. You're probably looking at least 5 wins. Maybe worst case, you're sitting there at 4 either way. Not at the easiest start. Things, though, can get a little bit better for LA after that. Tough game against the Saints, but home against Seattle, home against the Chiefs, at Detroit, and at Chicago with a road game or a bye after the Chiefs. I think you got 4 wins right there. Tough game against Philly, Sunday Night Football, but at Arizona, home against San Francisco to end the season. I think Seattle or the Rams, even if you have some tough time against a team like Seattle or the Bears, for example, I think you're looking at least 5 wins there. So that should be more than enough to get the LA Rams back to the playoffs. And this team, by the way, has very high expectations. Look at the odds for Super Bowl 53. Plus 1,100, one of the top 5 odds out there for the NFL this year. And I agree. I got them finishing first in the NFC West. It's going to be tough. There aren't going to be a ton of easy games, but I trust this offense, and I believe in Sean McVay. I think the Rams will win the NFC West. No offense, Niners fans. We'll get to you later on. You're going to be a good team as well. But I think the Rams will finish first, and they'll make a run at a Super Bowl title this year. All right, folks, let me know where you think the Rams will finish in the NFC West. And while you're at it, subscribe to us here on Chat Sports. Go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. It'll take you right into the subscribe page for all the best Rams coverage out there. And until next time, we'll see you.